All right, let's get it. I want to do something a little different on this video. So I'm asking you guys to please stick around to the end, where I'm going to promote my buddy's new book that he just published called The Apprentice President. This is my coworker. This is my buddy. So I'm going to do something that I don't usually do, and that is promote something on my videos. Now that we got that out of the way, I have a question. Have you ever been afraid of the dark? Be honest. When you were a kid, did you need that night light to go to sleep? Because you were terrified of the imaginary monster in the closet? Or the monster that was hiding underneath the bed? I admit it. I was. I needed all of those things. I would sleep with the TV on. And then I grew up. And I realized monsters aren't real. Right? Or am I wrong? Monsters are real, y'all. And a lot of the times, they hide in plain sight. A lot like a chameleon, right? You don't see them until it's too late. And the first monster I would like to discuss is John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. He was a serial killer who murdered at least 33 young men and boys in the Chicago area between 1972 and 1978. Gacy was an active member of his community, often performing as a clown named Pogo at parties and charitable events. He would lure his victims, many of whom were teenagers, to his home with the promise of work or a magic trick, where he would then sexually assault and strangle them. Most of his victims' bodies were found in the crawl space of his home. Gacy was convicted of 33 murders and was executed by lethal injection in 1994. Let's move on to the next monster on the list. How about Ted Bundy? Ted Bundy was a charismatic and intelligent serial killer who confessed to murdering at least 30 young women and girls in the 1970s, though the actual number is believed to be higher. Bundy used his charm and good looks to lure victims, often by feigning an injury or impersonating an authority figure. His crimes spanned several states, including Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, and Florida. Bundy was known for his dramatic escapes from custody and his public persona, which made him a media sensation during his trials. He was eventually convicted and sentenced to death for several murders and was executed in the electric chair in 1989. This is one of the issues, is the media glorifies these guys. They sensationalize these guys. And that's why we have so-called copycat killers. There's nothing glorious about what these guys did. Nothing at all. But let's move on to monster number 3, which a lot of you guys will recognize. You guys are old enough to remember Jeffrey Dahmer, right? It wasn't that long ago. And again, the glorification. They did a whole series about this guy on HBO, My Friend Dahmer. I refuse to watch it. But anyway, Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, was a serial killer and sex offender who murdered 17 men and boys in Ohio and Wisconsin between 1978 and 1991. Dahmer's crimes were characterized by their horrific nature, which included necrophilia, cannibalism, and the preservation of body parts. He would lure his victims, often from gay bars, to his apartment where he would drug, kill, and dismember them. His crimes went undiscovered for years until a potential victim escaped and led police to his apartment, where they found a gruesome scene of human remains. Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms and was murdered by a fellow inmate in prison in 1994. I mean, just a real sicko. I don't even know what else to call it at this point. But again, they made movies about Gacy, movies about Bundy, movies about Dahmer, series about Dahmer. And then they wonder why these things tend to keep happening. Were there women serial killers, you might wonder? Were there black serial killers? The answer to both of those questions is yes, absolutely. But the number is very small. It pales in comparison to white men. But let's talk about this female serial killer. Monster number 4, Eileen Wuornos, who they also glorified and made a movie about, starring Charlize Theron, appropriately titled Monster. Anyway, Eileen Wuornos was an American serial killer who murdered 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990. Wuornos was a prostitute who claimed that she killed her victims in self-defense, alleging that they had either raped or attempted to rape her. While one of her victims had a prior conviction for attempted rape, her self-defense claim was not accepted in court. She was convicted of 6 murders and sentenced to death. Wuornos was executed by lethal injection in 2002. She became a subject of significant media attention, and her story has been featured in several books and films. Again, with the glorification. We just can't help ourselves, can we? I was terrified of Freddy Krueger. I admit that. Some of you were probably scared of Jason. Some of you were probably scared of Michael Myers. Freddy was the one for me. I should have been scared of guys like Jeffrey Epstein, of Brian Koberger, of Ariel Castro, and many others who did not make this list. Because the truth of the matter is, the monster is not on your TV screen. The monster isn't in your book. The truth is, the monster may live right next door. The monster may be your priest. The monster may be your teacher, your principal, your congressman. This is why I called them chameleons earlier, because they hide in plain sight and they do terrible things. And you can say, well, Epstein wasn't a serial killer. That's true. He's still a monster. I mean, if you want to add R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Sean Diddy comes to the list, you get no arguments from me. They're all monsters. And they all hide in plain sight. Upstanding citizens, as some might say, right? No indications that they're creeps. Yes, monsters are real. So I want to take this time to promote my buddy's book. You can see it on the screen here, The Apprentice President, a satirical wake-up call to save our country. I do have a copy. It's an interesting read. It's on Amazon. I think you guys should go ahead and buy a copy and check it out. And I'm going to leave it there for now. I don't want this video to be too long. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, hanging out with me. If you were able to make it to the end. And like always, please y'all, like, share, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It's pretty harmless. It's pretty easy to do. Share this with your friends. Play it for your friends. They might like it, they might not. But at least you tried, right? All right, y'all. I'm going to quit messing around. I'm going to leave it there for now. Like always, I appreciate y'all time. Peace.